Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it's really crazy when people are reading your profile. You just wonder if they're talking to someone else. For those of you that's looking at the moment, seeing me, that can be you as well. My journey has been remarkable, humble beginnings as well. So I hope that today I'm going to inspire you. I hope that today you're going to get a thing or two. I hope that today you would inspire yourself and others as well in your community so we can make Nigeria great. Like the intro said, I'm passionate about Africa. I'm passionate about Nigeria. I mean, this is home for me, basically. It's home. So I just want to quickly say thank you so much. Thank you, Illuminated. Thank you, Aziz. Thank you, Kazim. I have to put Aziz in the middle because both of you are like twins. Bola, Bemisola, and the rest of the team, the volunteers, thank you so much. I'm deeply honored, very much honored to be here with you today. I flew in yesterday, and just to be part of this. But also, I'm deeply honored to be the keynote speakers today. The organizers, I mean, everyone in the room is so remarkable. The summit for me is a testimony, and a testament, more importantly, of the growing data and AI revolution that is happening across the world today. And I'm thrilled to be part of this. I'm passionate about the space. And I think there's really a foresight for you, Kazim and Olumide, to put this. I'm part of the team that delivered the biggest London and the world, which you call the Data and AI Summit. It's called Big Data in London. And we have about 20,000 people. And I'm predicting, if you want to get one of my predictions, that this event will be taking 20,000 people within the next 10 years. Okay? Can we just put a round of applause for that because it's really, really important. I mean, to the business leaders in the room, you know, CTOs, CDOs, you know, CISOs and all the rest of them, and for those practitioners and those people that are just excited about the space, it's really good to have you in the room. A bit of disclaimer this morning, guys. I'm not speaking for any organization, but more importantly, I don't have any crystal ball. But I do know a thing or two as a data leader, and I can share that with you freely, so you don't have to pay for it. But more importantly, I want you to consider those things I'm going to talk about that would help you, okay? This is me. I'm not going to bother you with that. This is me. The next slide, please. When we talk about big data, people argue about, oh, there's a conversation, it should be 3 Vs, it should be 4 Vs. But this is what, when you talk about big data, it has to do with the volume, velocity, veracity, and for me, more importantly, it has to do with the value. That's what big data is about, just in case anyone is really not sure about. This is the context for us, and it's really, really important. Just a bit of context, everyone, because I like to always, when I talk about technology and data, it's really important to give some context. As you all know, the world population is increasing. There are so many people in the world, and that's going to increase. And Africa is going to increase as well. So we're in a very strategic place. In fact, there's some report that says, you know, the top 3 countries, world populated countries, Nigeria is going to be one of them. By 2100, it's possible. But more importantly, the future of work has changed dramatically as well. So the way people work in the 90s, the way people work in early 2000s has changed. Why? Because of COVID. Not just COVID, but because of technology as well. But also, loyalty is really important. I'm just delighted to see Olumide when they put out their clients as well. And one of the reasons why people will stick with you is because they're getting the value you're providing. And loyalty is really important in this space. So when people are not getting the loyalty or people are not getting what you want them, you promised them, what would happen is that they're going to kick you out and go to someone else because the competition is quite stiff. So in order for you to build and transform, you need to understand that as well. And I think technology is shaping the way we work massively. Technology is shaping the way we work. And I was looking at the top organizations in the world. I was saying this to someone and a group of people today, this morning. I looked at about 7,000 organizations in the world. This is about 100 trillion globally in the stock exchange. And we only have one Nigerian company in there, and it's GT Bank. So the top 10 is pretty much, majority of them are American companies, and majority of them are less than 40 years old. Google is just about 25 years old. Microsoft, you know how old it is. So what I'm not simply saying, technology is changing things massively as well, and we've got that great opportunity. But finally, we need to be broad and we need to be brave. What that simply means is that in order for you to tackle this, you've got to be bold. You've got to step out of your comfort zone. Why do you need to step out of your comfort zone? Is because there's another horizon. And that's what technology does. It gives you another way of doing things. It gives you other opportunities that you've not considered. But it only would happen for the bold and the brave. So for those of you that are looking to start up company, for those of you that are working in an organization, public sector, private sector, I want you to be bold in whatever you're doing. I want you to dream big. I want you to step out of your comfort zone. Sometimes familiarity keeps us where we are. And also to you also, Olumide and Kazim, and the team as well, I want you to be bold because the horizon is quite huge. So I'd like to give you a story about trains. I know most of us are excited about getting the train from Abuja to Kano and all the rest of them to Kaduna. But this is where the train journey started. In 1725, the first rail track was built in the UK in a place called Townfield. But just about 100 years, about 1830s, there's a guy called George Hudson. He started investing on rail. Why? Because there was a steam engine. So think about train as technology, data and AI today. And he started that investment. They built the first track all the way from London to York. And then they expanded it to Gateshead. And they started building trains. But not just that again, what they're simply trying to do, they started opening opportunities for people. And that opportunity is what really transformed the way the British Isles did. And they talk about this word called the British Empire. Using that technology, they controlled the world. It all started with metal on the ground and locomotive train, moving one people from one place to another. Some of you see this word called GMT, which is the Greenwich Mean Time. That's the concept. That's why it came about as well. Because what they found out that when the train was going from other town to others, each town has a different time. But what the UK government decided to do was they decided to agree to standardize time. So those of us today that are enjoying time, that's the reason why that technology shaped a big part of our lives. And that's what we're simply trying to tap into today. So when you think about data and AI, that is the opportunity we're talking about. It's not just that as well. Before, people used to send letters, telegram, and it's going to take a week or two to get to someone. But with the technology called train, it took a day or 2 days to get to people. And as a result, we have the telephones. Because the telephone was created at the back of telegram. So when we talk about technology, when we talk about innovation, we are in a peculiar situation right now in Nigeria, and we're so blessed with young people, and I want you to dream more. Because this technology will unlock opportunities for you and I today. And not just for today, but for the future generation. Next slide, please. So my job today is to talk about the trend. My first trend is simple. We are going to have, and we're going to see this happen again and again, where people will come together and have access to data. Gone are the days when the data used to be in ivory tower. There's a bit of democratization of data at the moment. And what that simply means is you now can tap into open source data just because of data and AI, big data. Not just that as well. There's several going to be some governance protocol at the back of that. And data governance is one of them. I'm delighted. I hope that you do some product around data governance while you're doing in quality as well. It's really important. But the tooling also is going to be effective as well. So you definitely have access to this thing. But more importantly, what we call the silos between the senior management team to the analysts to the business users, that is going to reduce over time. Why? Because people would have access to data. And that's what big data does. Transforming data collection. This is massive. For those of you that are in regulated spaces, you've got to think about how you collect data and how you monitor and regulate as well. So in the UK, just to put this in context, we have the bank and the FCA, which is one of our regulators, is looking at how we reduce the budget of collecting financial data from all the banks. It costs about £4 billion for them to send us data on a yearly basis. So what the bank and the FCA is doing is to reduce that bill to about 2 billion. Why? It's because 2 billion can go back into the economy, and they can use that for research and development. They can use that for other stuff as well. So when you talk about collecting data, that's going to happen, not just around the regulated space, but the non-regulated space as well. So you've got to think about how you collect data, how you process data. I'm delighted, Doctor, that we've got the National Data Protection at the moment. That's the place to start. We can do more as well. And big data would help us to do that, okay? Next slide, please. The next trend for me I'm seeing right now, this is from my perspective, is real-time analytics. And that's powerful. People would have real-time analytics. Gone are the days when you have to wait for 2 days for the dashboard to refresh. Now you're going to get real-time analytics. I don't have a Tesla, but I can tell you the analytics is real-time. If you're in the traffic, for example, it tells you quickly. So you're going to be having real-time analytics, and as a back of that is because of big data, right? It's because of big data. But more importantly, you're going to get an increase of Internet of Things. So for those of you innovators, start thinking about solutions you need to build. Internet of Things will give you opportunities as well, okay? But finally, there's going to be a shift, okay, on how we look at analytics. We're going to come to a point where AI will drive our analytics, and that's what we call the prescriptive analytics as well. The next slide, please. There's going to be an acceleration of artificial intelligence. Don't worry about that. The slide will be made available to you. There's going to be an acceleration of artificial intelligence. Not just that alone. You're going to see machine learning and deep learning as well. Why is that the case? That's no brainer at all. Why? Because big data will be driving that. Because fundamentally, when you talk about AI, you're talking about data. Without data, no AI. It's just like you have a car without petrol, the car is not going to move. So data is the lifeblood of AI. And big data will drive that because you need big data to train the models. You need big data to learn. You need the system to learn and all the rest of them. I hope you get that, right? So these are things that are common, but it's really important to see how that connection is the connection within big data and artificial intelligence. The next slide, please. And finally, edge computing. What that simply means is, at the moment, the people that create data will have that quickly, accessible, and not just that alone, the processing of data will be quite quick as well, right? If you've not heard about the concept of edge computing, please look at it, all right? It's really powerful at the moment, and that's where quantum computing would definitely come within that terrain as well. And all this will be driven by big data, okay? And I really want you to consider that because edge computing changes everything. It changes everything. Now you can get data from, weather data. At the same time, you're getting data, traffic data as well. You're getting all sorts, and you're creating it as well as creators as well. And that's what big data will do. So I'm going to give you some couple of predictions. Okay, like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm going to give you some couple of predictions. And those predictions, I believe, can help you think about this. So the next slide. So the first one is you need to agree with me that data and artificial intelligence is the new normal. If you don't agree with me, if you don't accept that, then possibly you're in the wrong conference or wrong summit. But more importantly, there's going to be ethics and privacy concerns, no doubt. So people will be investing money. So if you want to train, you can train as an ethic person. You can train as a privacy expert. That would help you. The next one is people will be talking about STEM, not the STEM. So what that means is that science, technology, engineering, but you're going to have art as well, and math. And why is this important and relevant for Nigeria? You can see what Afrobeat has done in the world globally. Think about Nigeria without Afrobeat. It's going to be a boring place. So we can capitalize on that opportunity, and we can use big data and AI to drive that quite massively as well. And the next thing we need to agree upon as well is the fact that data and AI is going to contribute so much to our economy. Nothing else can have the capacity to contribute to our economy. So we've got to embrace this for our good. And the earlier we embrace it and the earlier we capitalize on it, the better for us. And the next piece there is ESG. What that simply means is that environmental, social, and governance. We've got to start investing in that space as well. Why? Because the world is investing in that. You know, there are people in Dubai at the moment in the COP28 as well. They're talking about that, and that's really important. So we've got to start thinking about what does ESG mean for Nigeria, and we need to start investing on that. But finally, I think social justice. I'm so delighted that Olumide made this point about women in technology, and that's social justice. And that's what it's about. It's about making the difference in people's life. How do you get women into tech and data space? How do you get people, a guy that lives in Ogbomosho, to come into Lagos and start working and get great opportunities? How do you include people, neurodiverse people as well? How do you attract people into your team? And social justice is really important. Why? Because the world itself is unstable. The reason it's unstable is that people know what good looks like and they want a part of it. So data and artificial intelligence is going to play a massive role in that. Okay? The next slide. Let me come back to my story I was telling you. I know when I was talking about the train, you're all excited. But what the train did for the British Empire was massive. In today's term, the British Empire, through the trains and the railway, they were able to make about 45 trillion from the Indian continent. Technology can give you opportunities. Technology can create opportunities. If you've ever been in the UK, we don't produce so much, but we're among the top 6 economy in the world. How do you think we did it? They got technology and they sent it out and they brought the benefit back home. So think about Nigeria, for example. How do we need to do this? We've got to build for ourselves, we've got to use it for ourselves, and we've got to use the outcome as well. And that's really important. However, I want to say to you, for those of you in the room, please, once you're working on data, be intentional about it. Try and solve societal problems. We've got huge problems at the moment, and what we need to do is to try and solve it as well. The next slide, please. I always leave my audience with what I call don't forget. And these are the don't forget for me. Data is not the new oil. Data is the infrastructure where you build everything. When you say data is the new oil, you're trivializing it. Data is the infrastructure where you build everything. Please, I want you to know that. And this is what is happening in the world. But more importantly as well, if you're in a business, you want to make money, you want to save money, you want to manage and minimize your risks, you've got to use data as well. You've got to explore your data. Finally, think about diversity. Think about inclusion. These things matters because this is where you're making the difference in people's life. So thank you so much. This is how you can connect with me. Feel free to reach out to me. Don't be strangers. Collaborate with me. Feel free to reach out to me. And I hope to be in the session, and I hope to network with loads of you as well in the room. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the able man himself, Abel Aboh.
Thank you for your short, sharp, crisp keynote address today.
So